Hey friends, it's Melissa Uchida. Today's episode is about grief and specifically the crazy, wild, sacred things that I did the first year after my husband died. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Melissa, the founder of the Healthy Human Project and Maca Movement. I am a yoga teacher educator and mom to three amazing humans, and I'm on a mission to increase human health and wholeness by inspiring small, powerful changes across five pillars of health. It's body, mind, soul, energy, and the environment. But I wasn't always healthy. I spent most of my teenage years addicted to drinking, smoking, food, and relationships. I was in and out of 12-step programs, rehabs, even psych wards, and juvenile hall. In my early 20s, I got sober and I found yoga and fitness, and I dove deep into personal development. And those practices saved my life. So for the past 25 plus years, I've helped people grow stronger in body, mind through meditation, yoga, Pilates, and self reflection. But 4 years ago, everything that I thought I knew about health and wellness and the mind shattered. That's when my husband, Nate, died by suicide. And that loss launched me into a new kind of journey, a journey through grief, trauma, fear, and eventually spiritual awakening and slow and steady rebuilding of life. Just a few days ago, I was talking to a friend who recently lost her partner to cancer. And I shared some of the rituals that I did in my early grief. And through her tears, she started laughing and said, "Oh my God, I am not the only one going crazy." And that's when I realized that I needed to share this because grief feels insane. It turns your world upside down. And if you're in it right now, I want you to know that you are not crazy. You're grieving and you're not alone. So here are a few of the crazy things that I did in that first year. I put together altars, not one, but three. They were filled with candles and photos and flowers and Nate's little tchotchke belongings, like even things like wraps from his kickboxing class that he would put on his hands. I lit candles every day. And eventually, my son built his own altar. He put his little artwork and his photos and his favorite things on one of the shelves next to the altar. And with the help of my grief coach, I realized I needed to start taking down some of Nate's altar things and adding the things that my children were creating and finding more balance in our home. Another crazy thing I did was I made Nate's coffee every morning, and he drank that bulletproof coffee with the MCT oil and grass-fed butter, and you blend it all up with collagen peptides. And I would make his coffee and I would sit there and drink my tea. Sometimes I drink just plain coffee with cream, and I would just sit there with him. And I would sit at the altar, and sometimes I cried. Sometimes I just stared into space. Sometimes I yelled at him and I was really mad at him. But the ritual grounded me. It helped me to feel some type of normalcy in this world that all of a sudden felt like the upside down. I practiced yoga with him. We had practiced pretty much 6 days a week for about 10 years, and I'd lay out his mat next to mine and we would move through the same Ashtanga sequence that we used to do together. Even when I cried, during those times, the rhythm of the movement that was so familiar soothed me. Another thing is I stored his clothes, some of his clothes in Ziploc bags in order to preserve his smell. And when the pain was really intense, I would pull out one of his shirts or a hat and bury my face in it and cry. And his scent calmed me. Even with all of the pain around his death, it calmed me. The smell made me feel safe. I am wearing one of his hats right now, and it has still a little bit of smell left, but I'm down to one Ziploc bag. And there's something really powerful with smell because the sense of smell is associated in the same part of the brain as memory. So that was so healing for me. He was cremated and I rubbed some of his ashes in plants. into a plumeria tree that he planted when our son was born, and into the Japanese maple that I planted for him after he passed. I accidentally ate some of his ashes. Um, so after I had done this, it was late at night, and I had rubbed his ashes into some of the plants, and I came back inside and there was a bowl of grapes on the counter, and I just popped one in my mouth. And as soon as I started chewing and I was feeling the grit, I realized that I still had ash on my hands. So I was like, oh my God, I just eaten my husband's ashes, and I had this sick feeling of like, am I like a Jeffrey Dahmer? You kind of feel like it was like, oh, is that really crazy, creepy? And at the same time, I didn't care. And then there were all of these supernatural things, the paranormal things. I believed in life after death before he died philosophically. Like I had the philosophy of reincarnation. I believed in reincarnation, if you kind of hypothetically, but I didn't have any firsthand experience until his death and the events that surrounded that. And things started happening. Lights would turn on and off by themselves. We had one light in the hall that was just flickering all the time, another one in the basement flickering all the time. But the lights in the bathroom, in my bathroom especially, would just go on and they would just go off. We had toys with batteries in them that hadn't worked for months, even years, and then would start singing. That really freaked me out. Because it was a bath toy and it had been there, it hadn't worked. And all of a sudden it started singing. I would see orbs and green swirls through the camera on my iPhone. It was like, the mom in Stranger Things, how she hangs up the Christmas lights. Waiting for a message from her son. I would get these like lighted trees and I needed lights. And I kept thinking, am I going crazy? So I legitimately thought that I was losing my mind. There were times that I thought, oh my gosh, I am going crazy because these things are so supernatural. They were so outside of my normal awareness of what like this life normally is, that I started studying mediumship. And I started studying, yes, because I wanted to connect with Nate and I wanted to connect with my grandparents also, but I really wanted to understand what was happening and to make sure that I wasn't going crazy, because there was so much going on that I was like, did I completely dissociate from what's real? So I started studying mediumship, and what I discovered is that maybe I'm not losing my mind. I was in a community with people who are practicing, who are teaching how to communicate with loved ones who no longer they don't exist in this, they don't have physical bodies. So to be able to do that, it's tuning into something that we can't see. And it created a sense of safety for me, and it created a whole new love and appreciation for this life. All of these new awarenesses kept coming. When we live in a world that is more than just this material world that you can see, smell, taste, and touch. And it also helped to add, and this happened over years, but adding this sense of spirituality and the sense of there's something so much greater than us. So here's what I want you to hear. If you have lost someone, especially if you've lost a spouse or someone that you shared, or a partner, someone that you shared your daily life with, nothing feels normal. You might feel like you're floating through a world that no longer makes sense. You might do things that feel irrational or even magical, and that's okay. The brain can't process such a huge shift at once, so we have to create rituals. We light candles. We set a place for them at the table. We talk to their photos. We cry in the car. We eat grapes with their ashes on them. It doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're human. It means you loved. You loved. Your love is so strong. Look, I'm 4 years out now, and the grief is not gone, but it's changed. It used to be center stage in my life. For a long time, it was center stage in my life. And now it's backstage. It still sneaks into the spotlight. We're coming up on a 4-year angel anniversary, and the grief can get bigger. It comes and goes kind of like a tide, but now it comes in less frequently than before. Grief is a reminder that this person that you love so much existed. This person you love so much mattered, and they still matter. And you are the evidence that they lived. So if you're doing weird things to survive your grief, if you're talking to them, you're lighting candles, you're making coffee or setting places for them at the dinner table, or preserving their scent, or experiencing some unusual paranormal things, know this: you're not crazy, you're grieving, and grief is love with nowhere to go. So let it move through you, let it change you, let it soften you, and most of all, give yourself grace. In the next episode, I'll share how Nate changed me for the better and what I've learned about healing since his death. If this helped you, please like and subscribe. Maybe share it with someone who might need to hear this, and know that you are not alone. Thanks for being here. Until the next time.